Customs and Border Protection Commissioner John Sanders is resigning. CBP says his resignation will be effective July 5th. Sanders' departure follows public outrage over reports that about 350 migrant children were found living in unsanitary conditions at a border protection facility in Texas last week. The U.S. government transferred 249 of them to Health and Human Services custody. The rest went to other Border Patrol facilities. 100 children who were transferred to those other facilities were sent back to the overcrowded center in Clint today. At the White House earlier, President Trump said detention centers are better now than they used to be.
I'm very concerned, and they're much better than they were under President Obama, by far.
Let's bring in Finn Gomez, Sean Sullivan, and Camilo Montoya-Galvez. Finn is a CBS News White House producer. Sean is a CBSN political contributor and national politics reporter for The Washington Post. And Camilo is a reporter for CBSNews.com. Thank you all for being with us. Camilo, I want to start with you because you have been reporting on this detention facility in Clint, Texas. Overall, are conditions at migrant detainee facilities better than they had been under the Obama administration, as the president says?
Hey, Elaine. Yeah, so we obviously saw the president make that claim, but we don't know what information he's basing it on. What we do know is that immigrant advocates have denounced conditions in shelters for detained migrants in both Republican and Democratic administrations, including the Obama one. We've seen judges issued rulings against both the Obama and Trump administrations for conditions in migrant shelters and have accused both administrations of violating standards set forth by a court settlement known as the Flores Agreement that set the standards for the care of migrant children in U.S. custody. And remember, they don't usually allow journalists into these facilities, which, again, are not designed to take care of children like the one in Clint, Texas, which has caused this public uproar in recent days, especially for a protracted period of time. The border officers are supposed to transfer these migrant minors to the Department of Health and Human Services within 3 days. And the only reason lawyers were able to document these hard conditions at Clint was because of the Flores Agreement settlement that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
So it's very hard to fact check, the president's claim because both administrations have been accused of violating this important agreement.
So it's such an important point, Camilo, this notion that, journalists are not allowed in there. So we're relying on accounts essentially from these lawyers who, under that court order, are given that access. But can you remind us of what it is that those attorneys are saying the conditions were actually like at the Clint facility?
Yeah, Elaine, the conditions they detailed were pretty deplorable. According to the attorneys who inspected this facility in Clint, Texas, just at the outskirts of El Paso, older children were taking care of younger children. Some young mothers had to wear clothes stained with breast milk, and children did not have access to soap or toothbrushes, and most had not even showered since they crossed the U.S.-Mexico border.
So I know, Camilo, you've reported that a group of 100 children were actually transferred back to Clint from other stations. Do you know why?
Right, so let's remember that after the revelations came to light by the attorneys, CBP, which oversees the Border Patrol officers which are detaining these children at Clint, faced a lot of pressure to move these kids out of the crowded and what one attorney called inhumane facility. And HHS confirmed today, the Department of Health and Human Services, that 249 of those of that group were taken into its custody, while the other children were transferred to other Border Patrol facilities in the area. Today, a CBP official told CBS News that 100 of those children were moved back to Clint, the station, but we don't know yet why they did so, and we're trying to get some answers. But until then, immigrant advocates will continue to denounce these conditions at Clint until we get some answers of why these 100 children were moved back there.
All right, Camilo, thank you very much. Sean, let me turn to you. The